Please be seated.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is a case of Brown versus Stuart.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Good day. Mr. Brown, just 2.5 months ago, it was revealed that your 18-month-old son, Colby, may not be your biological child, even though you currently have full custody.
Yes, Your Honor.
Today, you've dragged Ms. Stuart to court to prove that you are Colby's father because you fear if you are not, you will lose him for good.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Stuart, you admit you kept the secret from Mr. Brown, but claim the truth is the truth. And the fact is, you were secretly cheating on him, and you appear in court today to prove that the other man is the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Brown, tell us, what's at stake for you today?
Everything's at stake, Your Honor. My whole entire family knows him as theirs. I have 2 grandmas that have Alzheimer's that know him as their grandsons. My 14-year-old son knows him as his little brother. My house is a more stable home for him. It's a place where he's taken care of, and I know it's the better thing for him.
So, Ms. Stuart, you're saying that you know for certain that he's not Mr. Brown's biological child?
I'm 100% sure he's not the father.
And you understand what's at stake, though? You understand that Mr. Brown is saying he has a healthy, happy upbringing in his home?
I know he's with me, and when he's gonna be happy and healthy, I can provide that for my son because I've been working my butt off every day, going without seeing my son. I see him once a week. What's that to a mom who has raised and gave birth to that son?
Mr. Brown, you have custody. So how did you even find this out?
Well, because after she moved out, she asked me if I wanted him for a couple days while she was moving her things out. She called to tell me when she was coming, and I told her that I wasn't going to give him back at that point in time because I knew what my rights were. I knew that the living situations at my household
Yeah, and I have a right too, seeing my son.
Where she was at. I mean, I've got a 5-bedroom home where he's got his own playroom, he's got his own bedroom.
When did she say to you, but this is not your child?
Right then and there. But she waited almost 5 days before she brought the cops to my house. If it's not my kid, why didn't you come that day with the cops?
So what happened when she brought the police to your house?
You know, by that time, I'd already talked to 1 district attorney and 3 police officers who told me the same thing that I already knew, that by law, I did not have to give him back due to the fact I signed the paternity affidavit. I was on the birth certificate. And the cop that she brought was probably the only one on the force she could get to side with her. And he came and told me it was in my best judgment that I give the child back. And I asked him if it was in, my best judgment or if by law I had to. And he said in his opinion, he thought that I needed to, but there was nothing he could do about it. So therefore, I asked the officer to please leave my residence because there was nothing he could do.
You were trying to take my son away from me, and that's what you did, exactly. Rip my son from my life, from my home. And when the results are say that you are not the father, I am leaving today with my son. That is guaranteed.
You're so confident.
Yeah, I am confident because he don't look like you. He don't look like anybody else in the family. He looks like the supposed father and the other supposed father's the other baby.
What did you say exactly to Mr. Brown that day?
I'm just upset and hurt because he took my son from me. And that is when I told him, texted him, said, okay, I said, he is not your son. I know I should have told you in the long run, but that is not your son.
That was after she lived in my household for over 3 years and mooched off my family.
No, I never mooched off your family. It's more like your family was given to me. They're being generous.
Miss Stewart, why did you wait so long to tell him? Like, why not tell him before so he would have never had the child in the first place?
Because, Your Honor, I really truly believe that my son was Mr. Brown's. Because at that time, yes, I went to another friend to comfort me. Because at this time, Mr. Brown and I had decided to take a break. So I went in that time and talked to a friend like I always do. Comforting friends. And one thing led to another, and my son was conceived June 13th. So honestly, when my son was born, my son did look like Mr. Brown. And it looked like the son of his family. So that is why I have withheld, because I was happy, I was in love with him, and the fact that my son was going to be raised up in a good environment and good home. thinking that I had a good man on my hands.
What changed?
What changed was when he decided to take my son from me.
So you broke up, and then he wanted custody.
Yes.
So
He
if
came
you
to
had
me.
stayed in the relationship, would you have ever told him that this may not be his child?
No, because I honestly, because being with a good
Tell
man
my
like
family
Mr. Brown.
the same thing.
Is this that you don't believe he's the father, or you're just unhappy that you broke up and he took the child?
No, I believe that he is not the father of my son. I'm 1,000% sure. And I know the truth needed to come out. It should have been sooner than later, but it came out.
What was your reaction, Mr. Brown? You're lying, I don't believe that? Or did you think, well, yeah, you were kind of getting missing back then?
I was dumbfounded, Your Honor. I was dumbfounded. I didn't know what to think. I mean, I've lost a lot of sleep. I've shed a lot of tears over this whole situation. I mean, I'm the only thing that my boy's got.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. When you first got the news from her and she dropped this bomb on you, did you say, I want a DNA test? Did you think to get a DNA test?
Yes, Your Honor. I called DHS and talked to them, and they informed me that I needed to call Child Support Recovery, because that's who does the DNA test in the state that we live in. When I went down and filled out the paperwork, once they started running it, they informed me that I couldn't do the DNA test because Miss Stuart had already filed child support on me.
Wait, now, you're saying he's not the child's biological father, and you know that for certain,
Yes.
and yet you've filed to try to get him to pay child support? How does he get an open case?
I don't know, Your Honor. I'm not even quite sure. I don't understand that. But I never went and I never told them that he was a father and that I wanted child support from him, because I even told DHS and the child support recovery that I did not want any money from him.
And if he has custody, why is he paying support anyway?
He don't.
They can't get it from me. One, because she doesn't have him, and two, because I'm on disability.
So, Mr. Brown, you have a witness. I'd like to hear from her. Please stand, ma'am. State your name.
Sarah Teskey.
Ms. Teskey, thank you for joining us. You are...
I'm his girlfriend.
This is between me and Mr. Brown, not me and Miss Teskey and Mr. Brown.
Well, Miss Teskey takes care of your son. You don't.
Yeah, and Miss Teskey ain't supposed to be around our son.
Okay, all right, now I know what it's about. Moving
That's why
forward.
Miss Teskey is supposed to be around me, Billy Andre
Moving
JT.
forward.
Yeah.
Moving forward. So, Ms.
That's why she
Teskey,
got her own
what
son.
do you have to add? What do you know about this situation?
Well, I know that right now I am both emotionally and financially involved in this whole situation. I love this man with all my heart. I know that he loves Colby with all his heart. He takes very good care of him. He's the best father in the world to that little boy, and I know this is going to devastate him completely if that's not his son. And I know the other gentleman that is supposedly the father. I've known him for a couple of years, actually, and I've actually talked to him, so I do know that they have slept together because he did admit that to me. He didn't tell me around the time frame or anything like that, but he did admit it.
Did the other guy think he was the father?
No.
He said he doesn't believe Miss Stuart whatsoever.
So, Ms. Stewart, let me ask you again. Did you go down and file paperwork or sign anything
No, Your
requesting child support?
No, Your Honor, because I went down myself to see if I can get this DNA started. And they said that we couldn't do nothing because he had signed the paternity affidavit.
As you were going through the process, did you tell any government agency, this is the father? The father is Mr. Brown.
No, Your Honor.
Jerome, this ain't adding up.
Your Honor,
agree.
she's still getting all kinds of benefits for Kobe, and she doesn't even have him.
That then sheds some light on why they would be coming after Mr. Brown for child support. If you're receiving some type of state assistance, they want their money back. Yeah. So, Mr. Brown,
Yes, Your Honor?
you are here requesting a DNA test to prove that you are Colby's biological father,
Yes, Your Honor.
with the understanding that the result may indicate that you are not the biological father,
Yes, Your Honor.
but you are the current legal father of record because you're on the birth certificate and you have custody.
Yep.
So you do understand that you are basically putting yourself out there in a way that you would not have to, because in the eyes of the law, you are you're his legal father.
Yes, Your Honor.
It doesn't matter whether or not you're his biological father. When you execute and you put your name on that birth certificate, you're saying, I'm responsible for this child. This child is mine. That's why you have custody right now. So why is it that you're continuing this pursuit and pressing this issue?
Because Miss Stewart named him after my father, who's deceased. He's got my father's full name in his name.
But like I said, I thought and believed he was your son. But as our son got older, I started realizing he was not your son.
Kobe's got 2 middle names, which was my dad's first and middle name, and then, of course, my last name. So my dad's whole name is in Kobe's name. And I honestly feel that me and Kobe both deserve a right to know.
Okay, that I understand. You want the truth.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you are willing to put it all on the line for the truth.
I've raised that little boy for 18 months, almost 19 months. That little
Well-
boy's my world. That little boy's going home with me tonight.
No, he's not, because he's going home with me. When it determines that that you are not the father, he is going home with me today.
Ms. Stewart, you do understand if there is a custody order in effect, you could get into a little bit of trouble if you try to just take your son. I mean, one thing we can say is it is your son. So I want to caution you to not do anything out of emotion or just to stick it to Mr. Brown, revenge. That will put your freedom in jeopardy. Because then, what are you gonna do? He's gonna go right back to Mr. Brown's. You have to handle things the right way, even as hard as it may be. I see this is making you very emotional, and I know, as a mother, it must be difficult to be without your son.
It is.
But, Your Honor, she has the right to come see him anytime. There's open door policy at my
But
house.
it's so sad that you don't let me have a one-on-one with my son.
No, because
you don't
she's
let me
already
take
told-
my son for a weekend. Every mom should have every right to have their son for a weekend. And you know, I do have every right. That boy is my world. And it's like you guys don't give a crap about how I feel or how it feels to not have my son. But
I know
you gotta
exactly how
people
you
that
feel.
don't take
I know
care of.
exactly how you feel.
No, you don't, because
Yes,
if you
I
did,
do.
then you would understand and
Yes,
tell
I
Mr.
do.
Brown that I should have every right to that boy.
Because where are you living at and where's he living at right now? And you know that's what's best for him.
If Mr. Brown is not the biological father today, does the other gentleman, does he want to be involved in Colby's life?
Your Honor, I've talked to the supposed other father. He said he would, if the results came out that Mr. Brown was not the father, then he would like to step up and be there and do what he can.
All right, I think it's time for the results, Jerome. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Brown versus Stuart, when it comes to 15-month-old Colby Brown, it has been determined by this court. Do you want to watch Paternity Court on TV? Go to paternitycourt.tv to find your local listings. Mr. Brown, you are not the father.
I told you. I told you.
All right.
Mr. Brown, you need to sit down. You need to take a seat.
Your Honor.
I'm so sorry.
I just don't understand how someone could do that to somebody. 18 months. It's a long time. It's a long time. He's still my boy.
Miss Stewart, you said all along that you didn't believe he was Mr. Brown's biological child.
No.
And you know for certain it is this other gentleman.
Yes, Your Honor.
This court has, of course, provided you with the answers we're here to provide, which is the DNA testing and results. But now, this case will have to continue in your home state. The custody order that is in place is based upon his legal right, acknowledgement that he's the father. He's on the birth certificate. There's no other way to cut it. This cake is baked. So you can't just remove the child from his home. You're going to have to go through the process. And even if the court determines that he remain in his home, the court has that discretion. And let me give you a news flash. If you've ever handled anything in the court system, you know it's not going to happen overnight.
No.
Right?
Right.
Right.
So, in the meantime, you have to put this child first. If you all love him the way you say you love him, you know, I hear this all the time, right, Jerome? Well, I'd do anything for my kids. Oh, will you?
Yes, I will.
Will you get along with somebody you don't get along with for your child? Will you respect somebody that disrespected you for your child? Will you let your child see his biological mother even when you don't really think you want to, but will you help them kind of make the transition when it's not what you want? That's a part of caring for a child.
Yes, sir.
We have counseling, we have resources for you. Take advantage of it. I wish you all the very best of luck. Court is adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor.